G'day everyone. If you're new here, my name's Sam. I'm stoked as always that you decided to practice with me today. Today's yoga practice is going to be mainly focused on finding extension and opening through the thoracic portion of the spine. So think about that space from the top to the bottom of the rib cage. That's what we're going to be trying to broaden and open. Some blocks will come in handy throughout the practice. Other than that, when you're ready, we'll get right into it. So we'll start today's practice in Vajrasana, sitting the hips back on top of the heels. Keeping a block handy, we'll come to that in just a moment. Allowing yourself to find an upright spine, gentle drawing together of the shoulder blades as your spine starts to lift and lengthen. And as you start to breathe here for a moment, can you focus on inhaling as much air as you can? And that doesn't mean it has to be forced or labored. Still breathe slowly, but fully. You'll notice when you start to get to the top of the breath, you'll feel the back of the ribs start to inflate a little more. You might feel the shoulder blades separate slightly. You feel a little more space, the thoracic portion of the spine there. A few more breaths just like this. Last breath. Nice work. Grab your trusty block. We're going to place it between the hands and then just let the arms rise over the head. As the arms rise, try to just hold the block with the palms if you can. Let the shoulder blades depress slightly. And then all we're going to do is push the palms into either side of the block and bend the elbows slowly to start with. The elbows will naturally flare out. You're asking them to draw back in towards each other. And as the elbows draw in, can you move the elbows to the back wall of the room a little bit more as well? Nice one. Take an inhale there. As you exhale, keep the elbows drawing in as best you can. Keep the palms pressing into the block. Just slowly straighten the arms. It'll be a little bit wobbly, that's okay. Nice one. Bend the elbows again. They're hugging in towards each other and moving towards the back of the room. Take an inhale. Exhale, we straighten those arms slowly. Keep pressing into the block if you can. Nice work. We're going to do that one more time. So bend those elbows. They squeeze in and they move back. Take an in-breath. Exhale, we straighten nice and slowly. Release your block down towards the floor. We're going to prepare ourselves for downward facing dog. That's really going to get those arms fired up, which is what we want. So come to your down dog. Pedal out through the feet. And just like when we had that block, we're trying to depress the shoulder blades a little bit here. Still trying to keep the arms nice and straight. So very, very similar to when we were holding the block. Arms are straight, shoulder blades are depressing. And you push into the palms and send the tailbone up a little bit higher. Take a breath. You rise up high on the toes. Just start to walk our way towards the top of the mat. You know the drill, keeping the palms as flat as you can for as long as you can along the way. Lifting halfway as you inhale, shuffle the feet out a little wider. As you exhale, just start to fold, bend the knees, bend the elbows, interlace your fingers, take them to the back of your head. Let the elbows draw towards each other here. Let those hands just cradle the back of the head. Find a little bit of movement, forwards and back, side to side, and the feet. And then keeping the hands where they are, As we inhale, we're going to find a halfway lift, but as we do that, move the elbows away from one another as you lift and lengthen the spine. Breathe in. Exhale, we fold. Elbows draw towards each other, knees bend, head drops. 2 more time. Inhale, lifting halfway, elbows rise. Exhale, we fold down. 1 more time. Inhale, rise halfway. And then keep that spine nice and long. Just start to straighten the legs. We'll come all the way up. Keep the hands where they are. Keep the elbows moving away from one another. See if you can press the hips forward slightly. Lift the chest. Lift the chin. Take a breath in. As you exhale, return your spine to neutral. Let your arms drop down by the sides. Nice. Starting to feel just a little more movement through the shoulder blades, a little more broadening through the chest. Take a breath in here. Let it out gently. So to come into your own focus, your own efforts. Whatever brought you to this video today, whatever brought you to this practice, try to practice in honor of that. Know that whatever it is, it could even shift throughout the practice, and just be okay with that too. Next breath, arms are going to rise, so inhale. Exhale, fold over the thigh, let your head drop down. Then lengthen halfway as you inhale. You want your spine to be nice and long. We're going to step back to a plank pose, 1 foot at a time. Keep the arms long and strong, push away from the floor. Shoulder blades drawing apart here. Take an in-breath. Exhale is going to be a push-up. If we've practiced together before, you know we try and get the chest to the floor, and then we press straight back up. From there we lower down, and we take it into Bhujangasana Cobra. So there's a strong squeeze of shoulder blades towards each other, strong press of the feet down as the chest lifts. You want it to feel as though your hands were sliding to the back of the mat to draw the chest forwards. Take a breath. Exhale, drop the head. Tuck the toes, press up, and back to downward facing dog. We get there, shuffling left foot a little closer to right. Inhale, we'll reach the right leg straight up and back. As it lifts, climb up high on the left toes as well. Take another breath. The exhale, pull the right knee through to chest. Keep lifting high on the left toes and try to deliver gently the right foot between the hands. We'll let the back knee drop down and we'll find our block again. So just rest the block on top of the right thigh for a moment. And like we did right at the beginning, in a moment we're going to lift the block over our heads, and it's just the palms that are trying to squeeze the block. It's easy to grab it with fingers and thumbs. We don't want easy. We want to work a little bit harder. So reach the block out in front of you first. Lean forwards into the hips. Keep the back toes tucked. And then rise the arms up and overhead. From there you bend the elbows. Let them draw in towards each other. Let them move to the back of the room. Take an in-breath. As we exhale, we slowly straighten the arms and lift the back knee off the mat. Shoulder blades are depressing as best as they can right now. Front thigh descending, back knee ascending. Keep moving the thumbs to the back wall of the room. Make sure it's just the palms holding that block there. We'll be here for 3 breaths. Inhale. Sit a little deeper. As you breathe out, 2 more breaths. Last breath in. And see how gently you can lower your arms down first, lower the back knee down, and then send your hips back and straighten out the right leg. Try to keep your left hip stacked on top of your left knee. Use the blocks under the hands if you need them. Flex the toes of the right foot towards the face. Lean the arms out, the hands out, and let yourself drop down here. So trying to give in to gravity a little bit, letting the elbows bend, really letting the head drop. Letting the focus be in the chest moving forwards, the head dropping, and those right toes flexing towards you. We'll slowly begin. Just to lift our chest. Now, we're going to walk the hands back towards us so we can try and lift our torso. So we want from shoulders down towards that left knee in one long line. Flex the right toes towards the face and really keep this right thigh active. I'm going to come into a balance challenge here in a moment. So left toes are going to tuck under. You're going to look forwards, find your drishti, find your gaze, and then lean back, reach the arms out wide, and just see if the right foot can lift. Keep it active. You might need to set it down every now and then to recalibrate, that's okay. And if you can, squeeze that right knee in towards the chest and take the right leg back to meet the left. Nice work if you gave that one a go. That is super fun, super challenging. We're going to grab hold of both of our blocks here, have them on the second height, a little bit more narrow than shoulder width distance apart, and come to an Anahatasana variation, but with the elbows on the blocks. So you can see as I rest mine down, they're about halfway up the block. The biceps are facing forwards to start with. That way, as I walk knees back and bend elbows, I still have a decent amount of my upper arm resting onto the block. I want the elbows to be closer towards each other rather than further away. Don't want to feel the elbows splay out towards the side here. You let gravity do its job for a moment. Then we slowly start to work against gravity. So we're just going to push the back of the arms into the blocks a little bit. You just rise up an inch or so, then use an exhale to really draw the front ribs in. Becomes more of an active opening. Muscles of the upper back are working now, so too the muscles of the arms. Give them a flex if you can. Take a breath. And slowly press up gently. Before you lift the elbows, shuffle the knees in closer, just a little bit more kind on the shoulders there. Set the blocks off to the side, and we'll very gently just take ourselves all the way down onto our belly. Set the forearms down, elbows underneath the shoulders. Coming into Sphinx pose for just a moment. Imagine that you are pulling your hands towards your body to lift your chest up and pressing your feet down to lift your knees up. So nice and broad across the collarbones. Taking inhales all the way towards the top, filling up the back ribs. And then our right forearm is going to start to move over to the left. The right hand, rather, is going to move over to the left. We're going to press into the left fingertips and start to look back over the left shoulder. Bend up your left knee, search for the inside of the foot, so the big toe side of the foot, and then try and draw that heel in as you wrap your fingers around the toes. So you'll notice my left shoulder is starting to wrap forwards in line with my right. My right foot is still pressing into the floor, and my right knee is still lifting off the mat. So trying to square the shoulders towards the front of the room. That way you get a deeper stretch through the front of the left shoulder and into the left side pec as well. You can stay here, or of course, if you want more extension, lift the right elbow off the mat. You want to be somewhere you're still able to breathe. So just be mindful if you're pushing too far. The breath is the most important part here. You can always lower that elbow down if it feels too strong. Last breath in. And we very mindfully release the back leg. Make a little pillow with your hands underneath your forehead for a moment. Perhaps you bend up the knees, you let the legs rock from side to side for just a moment. And you slide hands down by the ribs, take a push up, and come back to downward facing dog. Little pedal out through the feet when you get there. Give yourself some space. And shuffle right foot a little closer to left. Inhale, we'll reach the left leg straight up and back. We climb higher on the right toes. Take another breath. With the exhale, draw the left knee to chest. Keep climbing high on those right toes. Try to deliver that left foot gently forwards. Lower the back knee down. There's a block nearby. Grab hold of it. We know what's to come. That fantastic lunge, which I'm sure you enjoyed just a moment ago. We're going to have to do it on the other side. So the back toes are tucked under. Just the palms holding the block. We lean forwards into the hips. Reach the arms forwards and then take them up and overhead. A bend in the elbows to begin with. A squeeze of elbows in. A move of elbows back. And as we slowly start to straighten the arms, we lift the back leg off the mat as well. Shoulder blades depressing. Left thigh sitting deep. Right knee lifting high. Three breaths. Let it be challenging. Last breath. Nice one. Arms soften down gently, so too the back knee. And you send those hips back, start to straighten out that left leg. Keeping right hip stacked on top of the right knee. Allowing your elbows to bend, allowing your head to drop. Getting closer towards the floor. And together we begin to rise. Again, trying to walk your hands back towards you, trying to set your torso above your right knee. In a moment, that balance challenge, you want your leg to be active. That includes the thigh muscles, also the flex of the foot. If you can keep the leg straight too, it will also help with the balance. Take the arms out wide. Lean back gently. See if that left leg can rise. Spread the toes out wide. And if you can, squeeze the knee in towards the chest. Take the left leg back to meet the right. Whew! That is an absolute blaster. Thank you for joining me on that one. We're going to move towards our second variation of Anahatasana here. I'm going to invite you to take it a little deeper. If you have the range, if you're familiar with this posture and your chest can rest on the floor, then I'm going to give you another option. If your chest does not rest on the floor, please ignore the second option, as it will not be possible. So you're going to grab the edges of the mat, wrap the biceps up towards the ceiling, keep the arms nice and long, and then lower the chest down towards the floor. If it gets there, great. If it doesn't, just be where you are. Feel the opening, the extension through the thoracic spine. Those with chest on the floor, you could tuck your toes under here and lift your knees off the mat. Keep the breath calm and steady. Three more. Lower the knees if they're lifted. Start to walk your arms back towards you. And we're going to find a little closed knee child's pose variation for just a moment. Take the hands back towards the heels. Bend the elbows, start to pull yourself in. Nice work. We're going to set the forearms down, come towards a nice long juicy dolphin pose as our arms, our shoulders are absolutely ready. Press the palms together, flex the biceps, shoulder blades separate. As you draw chin to chest, you should be able to see your own feet. We lift the hips. Now we know in dolphin pose the intention is to work towards hips stacking on top of shoulders. So we walk the feet closer than perhaps we would like to. And we just be okay with being there. Keep the arms active. Keep pushing away from the floor. 3 more breaths. Last breath. And very gently, just walk the feet back and come to a forearm plank. So you want to have the chest just the same height as the hips, chest drawing forwards, strong through the glutes, strong through the core. Use an exhale to draw the navel in, take a breath. And then gently lower the hips down onto the mat as you exhale. Come to Sphinx pose again. Pull the shoulder blades back. Imagine you're pulling the arms towards you to lift the chest. And come towards that quad stretch we found before. Left hand works its way over towards the right. Right fingertips press into the floor. We look back over the right shoulder. Try to catch the inside of the foot. And then wrap the fingers around the toes. Draw the right shoulder forwards. You're in Ardha Bekasana in Sphinx. Ardha refers to halfway. Bekasana is frog pose. One last breath. Very mindfully. Release that right foot. You're going to make a little pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead down. And you can bend up the knees, let the legs rock from side to side. And pressing onto hands and knees to start with. Coming up through all fours. We are going to make our way down onto the back, but because we've been using the blocks today, you can absolutely put the blocks underneath your hands and work the jump through from downward facing dog. If you're unfamiliar, blocks make your arms longer. That way there might be space for you to jump the feet through the arms. So you push away from the floor. You want your down dog to be shorter so that your hips are higher. And as you look forwards, you lift the heels, bend the knees. On the exhale, you just try to extend the legs through the arms. Nice work. We're going to come down to our backs. Keep the blocks handy. We will use them soon. I'm going to have the feet nice and close towards the hips, so set them down. Feet under the knees. From here, press the elbows into the floor, press the feet into the floor, and really roll the shoulder blades back as you work to lift your hips off the mat. Hugging the inner thighs towards each other. Feel that broadening, feel that opening. One last breath. And release your hands. Let your hips soften down for just a moment. The arms rest. I'm going to locate one of our blocks. And the block is going to go underneath our shoulder blade, so from left to right on the lowest side. So we will start to look a little something like this. So it's below the neck. We want the top 2 corners to be somewhere around the mid-rhomboid area. So it might take a little bit of finagling to get that block into the ideal spot. Notice I've got my arms behind me. I'm using first 2 fingers and thumb to try and get that block into a comfortable position. So if you move from left to right, it doesn't necessarily want to feel like it's digging into anything, but you definitely want to be able to feel it. Rest the head down for a moment, and you'll start to make scarecrow arms. So the elbows are bending 90 degrees, fingers are pointing up towards the ceiling. And again, you may need to adjust so that feels comfortable. Now what we're going to do is try to keep the elbows hovering off the mat, keep the arms bending 90 degrees. Just start to externally rotate the arms so the fingers will start to point towards the back wall of the room. That's it. Nice one. Just hang out there for a moment, keeping the elbows hovering off the mat. Take a breath in. As you exhale, return the hands back to where they were, so they point up towards the ceiling. And then we'll try and go the opposite way. So try to find a little internal rotation like you were high-fiving the floor. Still keeping the elbows hovering off the mat. That one might feel a little less comfortable. Just see what it feels like. Nice one. Now we just start to move through that range of motion. So fingers point up towards the sky. And you start to take them through the back of the room. And fingers lift up towards the ceiling again. And you internally rotate and start to move them down towards the floor, the palms. One more time like that. Nice one. Now extend your arms out nice and long to either side of the room. Let the knuckles rest against the earth. And all we're going to do here, with the shoulder blades heavy on the mat, we're going to shrug the shoulders up towards the ears. Just see what that feels like. And then really try to depress the shoulder blades and move them down. And you might feel those thick muscles, the rhomboids, move over the top two corners of the block. So shrug the shoulders up. And then depress the shoulders. It's almost like you were trying to give yourself a little massage there through the thoracic spine. You still do it a couple more times. You can try lifting one side and then the other. If that helps, just feeling your way through. I really quite like this myself. You might think it's quite weird if you've never done it before, and that's okay. Nice work. So next time you come to depression, shoulder blades moving down, we're going to keep those shoulder blades depressing, moving down. Reach the arms up towards the ceiling. Imagine you had a block between them, so palms face towards each other. Shoulder blades still depressing. We're going to move the hands towards the back wall of the room. You can let the thumbs just rest against the floor gently. So shoulder blades still depressing. Imaginary block between the palms. Just trying to feel a little more thoracic extension through the spine. One last breath. Reach the arms back up towards the ceiling first. Then we're going to rest the elbows down alongside the body. Hands can just grab the outside of the hips so we can lift our back just enough, nice and slowly. It's enough to remove that block from underneath you and then lower yourself back down. So it might feel a little sticky after all that thoracic movement. So to counteract that, we're going to make a little basket with the hands, interlace the fingers, lift the head, cradle the back of the head in the hand. And lift the head up a little more so the chin draws towards the chest, elbows drawing towards each other. A little bit of movement from left to right. Rest the head back down when it feels comfortable. Take the arms out like the branches of a cactus, so as much of the arm resting on the floor as you can. Extend the left leg out long in front of you. Start to cross the right knee over to the left. And with all that space we've worked to create, see if both of your shoulder blades can stay grounded on the mat as you twist. You might need to press into your left elbow a little more to allow the right elbow to stay grounded. Take a breath. Come back through center. Extending right leg out nice and long this time. You're going to hug the left knee in towards the chest without using the hands if you can. And we'll start to cross left leg over towards the right hand side. Again, trying to keep the shoulder blades grounded. If you feel the left shoulder blade lift, you can do a little shimmy, a little bit of an adjustment to try and keep both of those shoulder blades on the ground. If that means the left knee is not as close to the floor, it does not matter. It's all good. We're just trying to keep that upper back still grounded. Feel the rotation through the lumbar spine and the pelvis here. Last breath. You bring yourself back through center. So allow the hips some time to really ground onto the mat. We're just going to draw the knees in towards us. Each hand's going to catch hold of a knee, so left hand to left knee, right hand to right knee. Take the knees a little wider as you lift the head off the mat. Move gently from one side to the next. And once you're ready to release, extend the legs out long, one at a time. And the arms rest down by the side. Knuckles rest on the earth, toes fall out to either side. You may feel thoracic spine, the upper back, flatten against the mat a little more. You may feel as though you can inhale a little deeper after all the opening and movement. But more than anything, you may just be grateful that we've found some stillness. As always, my invitation to you would be to stay here as long as you can today. As long as you have. Without a rush. Without the urge to move. So embrace the stillness. Embrace this space. From me to you with thanks. Peace.